everyone, so today we would like to present our foreign language teaching strategy at the title Spin, Speak and Act Improving EFL Writing and Speaking Skill with Effective Attitude through a Group Discovery Learning Strategy. So, in this video presentation, we will explain the learning model, the main concept of the strategy, and the importance of vocabulary teaching, the pedagogical theory that support our lesson, the time allocation, the reason for using group word, and the learning objective. To begin with, let us first look at the learning model. So, this learning model is designed for third grade elementary school students who are learning English as a foreign language. The lesson focuses on developing student profession-related vocabulary, speaking skill, writing skill, and positive attitude through engaging and meaningful learning experience. Next, let us move on to the main concept of our learning strategy. So the main concept of this strategy is to help students understand different professions through a logical and meaningful learning sequence. First, students identify a workplace, and the second, they determine the profession that work in that place. Then they learn about the duties and responsibilities of that profession. Finally, they learn how to show respect toward different professions through appropriate word and action. To achieve this goal, we use a group discovery learning strategy where students work collaboratively to solve problems, discuss ideas, and complete learning tasks together. So, this strategy is supported by several instructional methods, including group discussion, interactive demonstration, and role-play simulation, which encourage active participation and meaningful communication among students. So, before students can communicate effectively in English, they need to build sufficient vocabulary. Therefore, vocabulary teaching becomes an essential foundation of this learning strategy. Vocabulary teaching is the process of introducing and helping students understand new words and their meaning so they can use them in speaking, reading, and writing. In elementary school, vocabulary teaching should be simple, clear, and enjoyable. Young learners understand language more effectively when new words are present in a meaningful context and supported by engaging learning activities. Therefore, vocabulary learning in this strategy is integrated into interactive tasks that encourage students to effectively use English rather than simply memorize isolated words. Vocabulary plays a crucial role because it serves as the foundation of English learning. Without sufficient vocabulary knowledge, students cannot build sentences, express ideas, or communicate effectively in English. For this reason, vocabulary development becomes the starting point that supports both speaking and writing skill throughout the lesson. Furthermore, our learning strategy is grounded in Jean Piaget theory of cognitive development. According to Piaget, third grade elementary students who are generally between 8 and 9 years old learn more effectively when abstract concepts are connected to concrete experiences. Therefore, the learning activities are designed to help students relate English vocabulary and language concepts to real-life situations that are familiar to them. This approach enables students to construct knowledge actively through meaningful experiences rather than simply memorizing information. Next, let us explain the time allocation for this lesson. So, the lesson is conducted in 2 sessions with a total duration of 180 minutes. This extended time allocation allows students to build vocabulary, understand new concepts, participate in discussion, complete collaborative tasks, prepare short dialogue, and perform role-play activities. So, conducting all these activities within a shorter period may reduce student opportunity to participate effectively and may decrease the overall effectiveness of the learning process. And another important feature of our strategy is the use of collaborative learning through group work. We choose group work because it offers several educational benefits. So the first, it creates a shared cognitive load, so allowing students to divide responsibilities and support one another throughout the learning process. Second, it promotes negotiation of meaning and peer scaffolding. Students learn from one another by discussing vocabulary, correcting misunderstanding, and sharing their knowledge and ideas. Finally, it strengthens functional language retention because students use English for authentic communication rather than simply memorizing vocabulary lists. As a result, learning becomes more meaningful, enjoyable, and memorable. Based on our learning strategy, the objectives of this lesson are as follows. First, students are able to recognize basic vocabulary related to profession and workplaces. And the second, students are able to pronounce profession-related vocabulary correctly through interactive classroom activities. And the third, students are able to use simple sentence structure to describe profession and their duties in a written form. Four, students are able to identify appropriate word and action to show respect toward different profession. Fifth, students are able to explain the duties of different professions using appropriate vocabulary while working collaboratively with their group members. And finally, students are able to present their group work orally using appropriate vocabulary and simple sentence structure. So, overall, this objective provide the foundation for implementing our learning strategy. To support the achievement of this objective, appropriate learning media, vocabulary preparation, and pre-learning activities have been carefully designed. Now, I would like to invite our second speaker, Putri, to explain this component in greater detail. Thank you for your attention.
Now I would like to continue by explaining the learning media, the targeted vocabulary, and the pre-learning activities that prepare students before they begin the main learning task in this lesson. To support the learning objectives, our strategy uses a dual media integration design that combines digital and physical learning media. By this combination, it will help students process information more effectively throughout the lesson. The digital media increase students' motivation and engagement, while the physical media support collaborative discussion and hands-on learning. The first medium is digital spinner wheel that contains 5 workplace categories like school, hospital, garden, restaurant, and police station. During the activity, each group will spin the wheel to determine the workplace they will explore. Here, the spinner serves as a topic trigger that creates excitement, promotes active participation, and ensures that every group receives a different challenge. The second medium is a set of double-sided flashcards. The flashcard has 2 sides. For the first side is the front side, and here, students can see the colorful workplace illustrations, and it will help them to connect English vocabulary with real-life situations. And on the back side of the flashcards, students will find a discussion guide containing controlled vocabulary. And here we provide 2 vocabulary support. And these are the name of professions like teacher or librarian, doctor or nurse. So here students will choose the one of them, and by the name of professions, students will use it to analyze and to answering the following questions. And then there are also four guiding questions, and by that, students working together, students identify the professions, workplace, duties, and appropriate ways to show respect toward that profession. Therefore, the flashcard function is not only as visual aids, but also as scaffolding tools that guide students throughout the learning process. And now, after discussing about the learning media, let's move on to the targeted vocabulary. In this lesson, we focus on set of high frequency and contextually relevant vocabulary. These words were selected because they are closely related to students' life situations, so it makes them easier to understand and remember. For our main vocabulary, we choose profession vocabulary, and we have four pedagogical reasons. For the first is familiarity and relevance. So according to James Paget's theory of cognitive development, third grade students learn more effectively when new knowledge is connected to familiar experiences. Professions such as teachers, doctors, farmers, and police officers are people who children frequently encounter in their everyday lives. And the second reason is because profession vocabulary giving contextual learning, and profession vocabulary naturally builds meaningful connection between a profession, its workplace, and its duties. For example, doctor doctor works at hospital and he treats patients. A teachers work at school and she teaches students, like that. And because of these logical connections, it will help students to understand and remember vocabulary more easily. And the third reason is communicative potential. So profession vocabulary encourage meaningful communication rather than isolated memorizations, because students can describe occupations, discuss duties, and ask questions, and perform role-play activities using the target vocabulary. And then finally, character education integrations. Since every profession contributes to society in different ways, students can learn not only English but also how to express an appreciation and respect towards others. And here we have four categories for vocabulary. The first is profession vocabulary, and it includes the teacher, librarian, doctor, farmer, nurse, gardener, chef, waiter, police officer, and security guard. And the second category is focuses on workplace vocabulary, like school, library, hospital, garden, restaurant, and police station. And the third category is introduce data-related verbs such as teach, care, treat, grow, plan, cook, serve, and protect. And these verbs help students to explain the responsibility for each professions. And for the fourth, it is expressions words. So here students learn respectful expressions, including thank you for your medicine, thank you for your lesson, and etc. And then please, excuse me, and you are welcome. So by these expressions, students will encourage polite communication, and students will develop their positive attitudes towards people in around them with those professions. Next, move on to pre-learning activities, and these activities are designed to build both language knowledge and conceptual understanding. The first stage is concept stimulus. The teacher presents pictures of different workplaces using PowerPoint slides and asks students about the activity that usually happen in those places. So students will be asked about their experience or what they know about those places, about people in those places and what happened there. And at this stage, students may respond in their first language if necessary. And this approach helps students to connect their real life experiences with new English concepts, and it allows them to move gradually from concrete experiences to language learning. And then for the second stage is worker and data identification. Here, the teacher shifts students' attention from the workplace to the people who work there and the service they provide. And students learn profession vocabulary, workplace vocabulary, and data related verbs through simple explanation. And it uses drilling activities like drilling for pronunciations and drilling for vocabulary recognition. This stage not only develop vocabulary knowledge, but also encourage students to appreciate the contributions of people with different professions. And an important principle that we will apply during this lesson is positive corrections. So instead of criticizing students directly when they make mistakes or when they accidentally using their mother language, the teacher will model the correct English expressions and invite students to repeat it together. We think this approach will reduce the insecurity, lowers the affective filter, and increases students' confidence in using English for speaking. Next, for the third stage is article bridging with expressions, words, and actions. The stage connects language learning with character educations. Students learn that respect can be shown in two ways, through words and through actions. For example, in verbal etiquette, it includes expression words such as thank you for the lesson, teacher, thank you for the healthy food, Mr. Farmer, or thank you for the helps, Mr. Security Guards. And for the behavioral etiquette, it includes respectful actions such as listening carefully to the teacher, completing the homework, and following classroom rules. And through these activities, we help students understand that respect it can be demonstrated not only through words but also through actions. Overall, these pre-learning activities prepare students both linguistically and socially before they begin to the main learning tasks. As a result, they are better prepared to collaborate with their group members, complete the worksheet tasks, and perform the role-play activities successfully. That's all from me. And next, Devi will explain the main activities in this lesson and the implementation of this strategy in the classroom.
Okay, and now I will explain the main learning activities, assessment system, and the advantages of our strategy. The class consists of 25 students, divided 5 groups. Each group contains 5 members, and every student has a specific role during the activity. The learning process begins with workplace randomization. A student spins the digital spinner wheel, and the selected workplace determines the flashcard that the group receives. So, after receiving the flashcard, students enter the group discovery writing stage. Working together, they answer 4 guiding questions. For the first question is, what is the profession? The second question, where do they work? The third question, what is their duty? And for the last question, how do we respect their work? Students then create a short dialogue using language patterns that have been introduced in previous lessons. In this process, the teacher acts as facilitator by providing vocabulary support and guidance when necessary. The final stage is called the showtime session. In round A, one student presents the group worksheet orally. For example, the student may say, the profession is teacher, they work at school, their duty is to teach students. In round B, 4 students perform a short role play demonstrating respectful expression and action toward the selected profession. In this role play, allows students to apply vocabulary and speaking skills in a meaningful context. Assessment is conducted through both group performance and an analytic rubric. Students are evaluated based on vocabulary use, speaking performance, writing accuracy, and role play performance. Each criterion is scored using clear descriptor to ensure fairness and reliability. One strength of this strategy is that it addresses several weaknesses identified in the previous version of the lesson plan. Compared to the previous strategy, this version provides measurable learning objective, a clearly identified teaching strategy, a logical progression from control practice to communicative practice, and stronger pedagogical justification for group work, more appropriate vocabulary selection, and richer communicative adjective through role play. In conclusion, the spin, speak, and act learning model provide an engaging and meaningful learning experience for young EFL learners. By combining gamification, scaffolding, collaborative learning, and role play activities, students are encouraged to actively participate in the classroom while developing profession vocabulary, speaking skills, and positive attitude. Ultimately, this strategy helps students see English not only as school subject but also as a practical tool for communication, appreciation, and social instruction. Okay, maybe that's all. Thank you for your attention and see you in the next video.